Okay, we are live. It's on. All right. Let me know. You can hear me okay. Sounds all right. Looks like it's working. And we're going to get started here in just a minute. Let a few people come on. Great to be here with you today. Thanks for joining me for this new series we're calling Unwrapped. Bite-sized business tips. And this is all about helping you with your packaged food business. But instead of doing an Ask Me Anything type format, I'm just going to talk about one topic, one question, a subject that's been coming up. And if you have questions about this, thanks, Dina, for letting me know. Sound is good. But if you have questions about this particular topic, I want to stay on topic, but I would love to take any questions that you have. So let me introduce myself. I'm Sari Kimball. I am the creator of Food Business Success, and welcome to the Unwrapped series, all about helping you with questions about your packaged food business. So today's topic is awesome. It's one that I'm getting a lot of questions about right now. It's that kind of time of year. And we actually posted, so I have a farmer's market masterclass. So let me back up. This topic today on Unwrapped is all about being more successful at a farmer's market. And, I realized that many people are applying for farmers markets right now. It's early February, and a lot of applications open up in January, February timeframe. So applications are opening. So we posted in a few places on social media a link to the Farmers Market Masterclass that I have. And it's free, and the link is in this video description, and we'll also put it into the chat. But it is a masterclass all about getting you started, how to start, what are the mistakes people make, what are the 4 next steps that you need to take to start a packaged food business going to a farmer's market. So we put that up. And oh my gosh, we started getting so many people watching that. And I said to Dina, my assistant, I was like, all right, we got to do a video on this, because clearly a lot of people want to know more about starting or growing or being more successful at farmers markets. So especially in the context of COVID and how to be successful in that environment. Also, to support you in farmers markets, I'm actually doing a podcast. So if you haven't checked out the Food Business Success podcast, definitely go check that out. But in a couple of weeks, we'll be releasing a podcast with a market manager where I interview her, and we'll talk about all those things, mistakes people make, things that she sees that help people be more successful. But you probably don't know this, or you may, but I actually own a farmer's market as well. I own a winter farmer's market in Fort Collins, Colorado. It's called the Fort Collins Winter Farmer's Market. Pretty unique name there, but I have been a part of this market for, I think, 5 or 6 years, and then this is my second year running it. And of course, we've had so many interesting challenges with COVID, and being inside has definitely had a lot of other obstacles and issues. But I would consider myself an expert on farmers markets as well. Before I ran and owned a farmer's market, I ran a lot of events and a lot of demo programs out of Whole Foods Market. And I think a very similar situation where you have a booth and you're trying to sell something. Maybe you're not, well, you are trying to sell your product off of the shelf, just not at a farmer's market traditional booth. And then actually before that, I worked for a farm and we had a farmer's market booth. So I have been on all sides of the table. and the equation here. So, all right, so let's talk about farmers markets. And again, this is going to be a specific topic about farmers markets, how to be more successful. And if you do have any questions specifically on this topic, feel free to write them in. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of give you the next 10 minutes or so some of my insights and tips and tricks about a farmer's market. All right, so I wrote down a couple of notes here. So I guess the first thing I would say is branding and signage are so important. I can't tell you how many booths I walk by and I don't know what the product is from a distance, right? Like you need, I love those pull-up banners that are great for inside and outside. So you can get those pull-up banners, retractable banners, or you can get if you're outside, it's easier to put it up behind you in your tent. I hate it when signs, except if you're inside, you may not have a choice, but I hate it when banners are on the ground on your table because when you're setting up, there's nobody at the market and you can see it great. But when you're at a farmer's market, people are there, they're standing in front of it, they're walking by it. So you're actually blocking your own promotion, your own advertisement of who you are. So don't put it down. We don't tend to look here, right, when we're walking. I mean, I guess sometimes we look where we're going, but generally we're like looking up here, right? So getting it up higher is definitely recommended. So you need some branding. You need a banner, some signage, and have a nice tablecloth. If you can get one, if you can afford it to get one that's branded, they're not that expensive. That's where you can put your logo in front, right, of your table instead of a big banner. If you want that double exposure, no problem there. Get a tablecloth that's in your brand colors. Or just get a plain, simple white one. There's lots of options online to get a branded one that really are not that expensive. Get a tablecloth that fits your table. Like, I know it sounds nitpicky, but you're asking people to trust you. And especially a lot of people are cottage food too, right? So they're making product out of their home. So you're building a relationship with people walking through a farmer's market. It's a one-on-one direct to, like, you don't get much more direct to consumer than that. And this would go for demos as well in a grocery store. But you are basically communicating before anybody ever talks to you. You are communicating with them from a distance, like, hey, I'm a great product, I'm clean, I'm safe, I have my act together. Look at how, together my table is and how like the tablecloth fits and my booth is clean and I don't have junk scattered all around. It's easy to read, you know who I am. These are all things that get communicated with your booth before a customer ever comes up and actually starts interacting with you. So why wouldn't you want to make the best impression possible, right? From 20 feet away. Because, you watch people all the time walk by and they're kind of like, and you do it yourself, right? Like, it's a little bit uncomfortable approaching, especially if you don't know the product, you don't know the people. And even with COVID now, people are a little bit more standoffish. So they want to like really understand what the product is. They want to like feel comfortable approaching you. They want signage that they can read and not have to get like super close, or even people hate asking you how much something is. So I'm going to talk about that next. But this all goes back to great signage. So as much as possible, spend a little bit extra money to have a well-branded booth. And I have some great photos of what these look like. We should definitely put some up on Instagram. But spending a couple $100 extra on really elevating your booth goes a long, long, long way towards customer confidence, customer loyalty, them just feeling like they want to be around you, they want to buy your brand. So that's branding, signage, and that kind of leads into pricing. So you have to have your pricing pretty big and visible, easy to understand. Don't have like 18 different packages. Now I realize, like, we have beef producers and growers. Sometimes they're a little bit different story. They have huge chalkboards and lots of products. But most likely, as a packaged food entrepreneur, you're going to have a handful of flavors and a handful of sizes or products or packages. So make it really, really easy for people to see the price ahead of time. Because like I said, if you make people ask for it because they can't find it or you don't even have it posted, it's very unlikely that they're going to ask for it. They have to really want it. We do not like asking how much things cost, because then we're afraid of the uncomfortable moment when somebody tells you how much it costs and it's more than you want to spend. And you're like, okay, cool. Okay, thanks. Right? So as human beings, human nature, we're trying to avoid that uncomfortable moment. I highly recommend doing bundle deals. So, one of my clients is a seasoning maker. So he has 5 seasonings. So, one blend, one seasoning is $7. You get 3 and you save a couple dollars. If you get all 5, you save a couple more dollars. So, but don't have like so many packages that people like. We have decision fatigue. We don't like having too many choices. So 3 is really ideal, 3 or 5, but I wouldn't go beyond that, right? Just be really careful about how many packages and making people think too hard. Make it really easy for them to understand. Okay, so that actually leads into kind of table layout in general. So this is probably the biggest question that we're getting asked. Like I said, I have a winter farmers market and we're going right now. And it's like, well, I have a food product, but now I can't sample. How am I going to get the sales, right? Because of COVID. So we can no longer do just like hand sampling, and we're trying in most places, I should say, they want to limit the social interaction. Like farmers markets are no longer a social place. They're for shopping, getting your food, your products, and then leaving. And so customers are definitely discouraged from like hanging out too long and just having open food and people removing their masks and all of that, right? So in general, I'm guessing most states have a rule that you cannot sample anymore. Which, if you have a product like something that everybody knows what it is, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like I don't know, a pasta or something, right? Like you wouldn't sample that anyway, and people know what that tastes like, basically. But if you have something that's like a little bit new, more interesting or more unique, it can be more challenging, right? Like one that comes to mind is I think it was a seaweed product, and it was like a gel, and they had different flavors, but like I don't know what like I have no context for what that is going to taste like, and before I drop like $9 or whatever it was on a jar, I obviously want to like taste that. So what I've seen people doing to kind of get around just the sampling in general is, depending on your product, of course, you can go ahead and pre-package samples, and I highly recommend you do this. And it may not lead to a sale that day, but it could lead to a sale in the future, right? Like people come back and they're like, oh yeah, I tried that. I do want some of that. So there might be a little bit of lag time, but that's okay. Just know that going into it. Plus, people, when you give people something, they feel a little bit more indebted or a little more obligation to you as part of like a psychology. So, always great to give people something. I know at the farmer's market, I was getting handed samples with like a little spoon, like a little tasting spoon, which is probably a gray area. Again, you're not supposed to be encouraging people to try things right there in the market, but I mean, you can decide depending on how strict your market is. But just get like little ramekin, or like in the case of like a seasoning, get a little baggie off of Amazon. It's going to be a little more time consuming, of course, to package those up. They should be done in your kitchen if you're not cottage food, or of course you can do them at home if you're cottage food. So beyond that, though, you still want to give people an experience of your product. So even if you're not doing samples, or if you are, you want more than just the product sitting out there and the pricing, and maybe you have, a banner or something that tells a little more about the product. But again, we're hesitant to like linger too long and like get up close and read every little thing. So what I recommend, depending on your product, of course, is like, for instance, with the seasoning, again, what I told him I wanted to see next time was some little dishes with the actual seasoning in it. Now, these aren't samples. People aren't tasting anything. But I, as a consumer, when you unpackage it and you put it in something, now I can start to visualize it a little bit more. I mean, I guess people could smell it. That's their choice if they want to get up and close, right, and smell it. The other thing you could do, if that, depending on your product, that may or may not work, but have like, if it's a ginger turmeric something, go buy some ginger, buy a lemon, buy turmeric, and actually display those products. Again, like, we eat with our eyes first. And so give me something interesting to look at. Give me an experience when I walk up to your booth, other than just like, oh, great, here's a jar of jam, right? And of course, you want to talk about what differentiates you. Make that loud and proud. Is it that you're sourcing local ingredients? Is it that your products, you're using non-GMO or organic ingredients? Just anything you can do to really highlight some of those things that differentiate you. Because of course, we cannot, at a farmer's market, you're never going to compete on price versus a grocery store. But people aren't there to compete on, they're not there looking for like a deal necessarily. They're looking for phenomenal, interesting products that they love, and they want to support local. So that's kind of my suggestion with your table layout. I also love to see you getting some height and some depth in there. So again, most people, when they walk up to a table, it's like at hip high or lower, depending on how tall you are. And I always love it when people do raise up their tables. You can just get those like basic risers, the ones for your bed. I've seen people do that, but then again, you want to make sure you have a tablecloth that's big enough that goes down to the floor. So get the table up higher is definitely a great recommendation, but then go buy some different stacking cubes or stacking containers, things that are in your brand. If you have a kind of more country brand or something more nurturing, homey, then get like a wood box. But get your product up, make it a little bit more interesting. That was something I really took away from Whole Foods Market, was the displays really do matter, right? And so spending some extra time on having a great display with some great signage. And I have so many, I could just go on and on, but I'm going to talk about one more little tip to be more successful at a farmer's market. But I do want to invite you. I'm actually going to do an updated version of the free masterclass. So you can definitely go watch the current one now, all about starting at a farmer's market everything you need to know. What are your next 4 steps? What to expect? How much money it's going to cost you? And then also, what are the 3 biggest mistakes that I see people make? So that is a fantastic masterclass. I actually just watched it again this last weekend, and I was like, this is really good. If I was just starting, I would totally watch this. So that's good that I feel that way about my own masterclass. But I'm going to update it probably end of February, early March, and do an updated one with more things around COVID and how to be successful once you're already in a farmer's market and once you have the product. So the way that you would find out about that is to go over to the Food Business Success website, foodbizsuccess.com, and then just sign up for anything, get you on the email list, go watch the masterclass, and then you'll be on the email list. So definitely want to encourage you to join me for an updated live masterclass, and then of course it'll be available as a recording. All right, so you guys are welcome to pop in any questions that you have about farmers markets, but this will be the last thing I'll cover today as far as my spiel. Like I said, I could go on and on. I feel like I have so many tips and so many ideas, but I don't want this video to go on and on. So plus I got to save some stuff for the masterclass, right? So the last thing, and this might be a little touchy for some people, but is really around, well, first of all, it's kind of just, I'm going to call it the attitude umbrella. And this goes to how are you showing up at the farmer's market? Now, like I said, I own a market. I have been around farmers markets a lot. And I have some awesome staff that are there they're there for the entire 4-hour block of time. They're interacting with all of a lot of the vendors, a lot of customers. They're getting feedback. Not to mention all the behind the scenes, like the maps and the communication with vendors and all of that. So I'm just, like I said, I'm putting this under the umbrella of like how you show up and what your attitude is going into a farmer's market is so important. And I will tell you that the 2 things you can do under that to like give yourself a huge advantage to have and get great sales, really improve your sales, are to be really kind and build a great relationship with the market staff. They can be your biggest advocate for you. And when something goes wrong, if you've been kind and generous to them along the way, and that is going to go so much further to them wanting to help you out. Now, you could say like, well, that's their job. They should be there to help you out. But come on, you know how it is. If you've ever worked a job, a service job, where someone comes up and they're complaining about something and they have a really bad attitude, do you really want to help them all that much? Probably not. So, you're going to be with these people, like the farmers market staff, for the entire season, most likely. So always go in, have a great application, follow through, read your emails, show up on time, don't be late. I mean, the worst offenders are the ones that are rolling in right when the market starts or 10 minutes before, right? So be really professional. Treat this like a job. And I will tell you that it's absolutely the case that, and I do the maps, so I'm just going to be like, this is like confessions of a farmer's market manager here, but like I give better boosts to people who are awesome and who are kind and generous and show up on time and smile and are like, and that also have great sales. And those 2 things go together. So I guess I would just encourage you to, like, if you're gonna do a farmer's market, decide ahead of time that you're gonna have a great attitude. And we've had to deal with so many changes because of COVID, because we're inside. We've had to, everybody's spaced 6 feet apart, and then we had to move to like 10 feet, and then we're back to 8, now we're back to 6. So we've had like a lot of shuffling around, a lot of moving people. And there are certain booths, certain entrepreneurs that I could put anywhere. It doesn't matter. I could put them in the crappiest spot and they will have a phenomenal day of sales. And then I have other people who like get so upset if we move them. I mean, I have one gal that was like visibly, I thought she was going to like punch something or someone. I mean, she was like shaking. She was so angry that her spot had been moved, and it showed up in her sales 100%. So I would just really encourage you, and if it's not you working and it's a staff member, have that expectation that they need to have a great attitude, because you know what? People can sense that. If you're like angry and you're hunched over and you're on your phone, that's a huge pet peeve of mine. Like, get off of your phone, be warm, be inviting. We can't see anybody smiling, but we can still tell if you're smiling even with a mask, right? So be like, you need people to come to your booth. That is why you are there. So go into it with a great attitude. Be excited to be there. Look like you're having fun, even if you're not. Be kind, to your vendors on either side of you. Make friends. Share. I mean, I have vendors who have made great connections, learned a lot. Like, oh, you're on Amazon? Tell me about that. When there's a lull. Or like, oh, I heard about this farmer's market, or have you heard about this platform? Da 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 da. Right? Like, people learn so much. So I just encourage you to be like open and go in to have a great day. Yeah, people want to shop from people that look like they're having fun. Let's just say that. So, maybe you're not great at sales. Maybe you're not like, I mean, there are definitely some natural born pitch artists, sales folks who like can really sell anything to anyone at farmers markets. And then they're just like really great people. And maybe they don't have all the words and all the pitches and all the like, hey, how many can I ring up for you? Right. But you just want to be around them. And you're like, maybe I don't even need this jam, but I just talked to you for 5 minutes and you're fantastic and I want to support you. So I know that's like a little bit vague. It's not super, super specific, but those are definitely, I'm still like working on how to deliver that, but just have a great attitude for your for your fellow vendors, for your farmers market staff, and for your customers, because they are the ones putting money in your pocket and help you grow your business. So I highly recommend farmers markets. I think they're a fantastic place to start. I think it's a great way to test your product, test pricing, test sizes, evolve your brand, right? You don't have to have the most amazing, super high-end logo and packaging. This is a place for you to grow and to experiment. So definitely take full advantage of it. I love farmers markets. I have found my experience with COVID has been that generally we're seeing farmers market traffic is up. People are certainly getting in and out quicker. That's not a long-term social hangout anymore, but people really want to support local businesses. And I know so many people are coming to me with that packaged food business idea that they've been thinking about for forever. Or they just kind of discovered something in their kitchen because they've been at home so much with COVID. That so many people are coming to me and Food Business Success to start that packaged food business. So if that's you, if you just have an idea, or you've kind of started to get started, but you're running into a lot of roadblocks and a lot of questions, that's what I do. There's a Farmers Market Jumpstart course, and then I also have the full Food Business Success program. So head over, go watch the masterclass for free, or consider joining Food Business Success. You can just apply right on the homepage, and then we'll set up a phone call and have a 30-minute call, and you can tell me more about your business, and I can tell you how I can help. All right, well, that was a lot. There will be more on farmers markets, but I think those are some new, insightful tips and ideas and things that I know will help you to have a fantastic farmers market season as we head into 2021. All right, have a fantastic day. Thanks, guys.